AL-ARABI Sport Club out of Qatar set to take on REBISCO Philippines in the third day of the 2021 Asian Men's Club Volleyball Championship in Nakhon Ratchasima in Thailand, which is north of Bangkok. You're looking at our first and second referees to call the action today. Eric Tikman alongside Neil Flores. Philippines coming into today's game 0-2 in the standings. Meanwhile, AL-ARABI Sport Club is 1-0. There are 9 countries participating in the men's division as compared to only a few countries in the women's division, and 10 teams all in all. So a lot more variety, a lot more competition we're going to see here.
And for those people unfamiliar with the tournament format, we will have 2 pools. Dinivide yung 10 teams into 2 pools, and they will be going through a single round robin format before we head into our classification matches.
That's right. Philippines will be in Pool B. We played AGMK yesterday out of Uzbekistan, and we're playing another Pool B team in the AL-ARABI Sport Club of Qatar.
After this game, you will be matched up against Diamond Food, a club team from Thailand.
Also in Pool B, Diamond Food is 1-1 in the standings after beating the Philippines and then losing to this team, AL-ARABI Sport Club, yesterday. There's your starting lineup. Surprisingly, Kupkovic will be coming off the bench, star player, the leading scorer of AL-ARABI Sport Club. There's their head coach, Juan Manuel Quichelio out of Argentina. Meanwhile, you're looking at REBISCO Philippines and their starting lineup. Bugawan will be a starter today, came off the bench yesterday. Malabunga in the starting lineup. Alfavara is still in the starting lineup. Retamar also in the starting lineup. So far, it's only Bugawan who's new guy inserted from coming off the bench yesterday.
Manuel Sumangid will also be starting in that libero position for Coach Dante Alinsunurin in Team REBISCO Philippines.
So a tall order for REBISCO Philippines, but what I like about the game of the Filipinos so far, they're getting better and better. Their first game they shot, or their efficiency was at 38%. It went up to 50%. Going up against AGMK yesterday.
And people were curious about kung paano nila gagawin yung performance without our top 2 scorers. But in that previous game, we saw that everybody could actually chip in. And on your screens is the top scorer for Team REBISCO Philippines, Ja Umandal, attacking at 53%. Wow. In terms of efficiency, 19 points for this youngster for REBISCO.
And also, Philippines, 27 unforced errors in their first game, which was Friday. And then yesterday was down to 24. Let's see if we can play a lot better and be more careful with the ball against AL-ARABI Sport Club. Set number 1 just about to get underway. In the meantime, though, if you want to find out, 58% team efficiency for AL-ARABI Sport Club. They had 6 service aces, 11 blocks, and 4 players in double digits against Diamond Food. And we're off in set number 1. Retamar sending it right away to Malabunga. And immediately making an impact is John Chigbo. He's the 6'7" middle blocker.
That's what we were saying, the height advantage definitely with the Qatar club team.
Chigbo played in the 2010 and 2014 Asian Games, had 10 points for AL-ARABI. There is a block against De Guzman.
Setters will be playing a very crucial role in this match, as they are the ones who find and utilize the smallest of cracks in the defense of their opponents. And for REBISCO Philippines, they know that they're at a disadvantage when it comes to height, so they have to be able to put that coverage behind their attackers if they want to keep that rally alive.
So obviously a very tall order for defense and for offense. Retamar will have to find a way to fool these blockers. Chigbo blocking Umandal. There's a one-handed set by Almendras, and a tip finally gets REBISCO on the board here in set number 1.
You'll also notice that in the men's game, you don't get a lot of combination plays from the middle. Mas basic, but it's a faster gameplay here compared to the women's. And you'll see a lot of back row attacks utilized by all of the teams.
Yeah. Nothing against the women's game, obviously, but there's a lot more, a higher level of athleticism in the men's game because of, you know, a lot of the jumping, the defensive plays, obviously. Sumanggid with the up back row attack there from Umandal. Yes.
Now Mandala, 22 years old, leading the offense for REBISCO Philippines. This is a good start for the men in red.
Good coverage here, giving Umandal an opportunity from the back row. So 2 straight points for REBISCO Philippines as we tie the game here in set number 1. Out of UST, Umandal serving. That's outside.
You have to be able to maximize the absence of the best player for AL-ARABI, Kupkovic. This is the time to score as many points as you can.
Juma Faraj, the team captain, former national team player as well. There's Alpapara scoring for REBISCO. Alpapara coming off a 7-point performance.
Good ball distribution so far from Betamar, engaging that middle blocker from Qatar, leaving Alpapara with a single block.
3-all. Gorgeous attack there. That is from Renan Ribeiro out of Brazil.
You'll definitely see a lot of men jumping. They will
Yeah.
try their best to get single blocks to get a higher chance of scoring off the offense.
Nice serve from Chigbo. Off-speed attack there. Ribeiro one more time. Alpapara. What a solid roof there against Mark Alpapara.
Great blocking from AL-ARABI.
Just solid at the net. So far, a couple of blocks against REBISCO Philippines for AL-ARABI Sport Club.
And if you know you have a lot of tall blockers in front of you, you have to be able to choose your angles well. And tatansyahin mo din yung power na ilalagay mo.
That is on the line as AL-ARABI Sport Club with a service ace. They had 6 service aces in their last game. So this is a strong point for AL-ARABI.
It was also a smart zone to target. It looks like they want to take Umandal out of that back row attack.
The wrong approach results in a free ball and a combination play. Sumanggid was right there, picking it up. Back row attack. And Umandal yet again putting REBISCO Philippines on top by 1.
Umandal getting back a point off that service ace. Good dig from Sumanggid also.
An adjustment in the scoring. There was an error from Nakpon Ratchasima. So it's 6-4 AL-ARABI Sport Club. But a block by the Philippines there makes this a 1-point game.
1-point timing for JP Bugawan.
Former FEU Tamarao, chance to tie the game again. Solid attack from Felipe Bandero, another Brazilian in the lineup, had 16 points in the last game.
Felipe just hitting it at the top of the block.
Bandero serving 7-5 set number 1. Easy over for Rebisco Philippines. They get lucky. They get it back the same way. Attack in the middle by Bugawan is a point.
That should be a sure point when you are given a chance ball. That's your opportunity to run your counter attack.
Filipinos so far making the most out of the opportunities they're getting here in set number 1, keeping it a close match.
Just have to tighten their defense a little bit more to overcome this deficit. But they're just down by 1.
So far, so good for Rebisco Philippines. Nice serve for Alfafara, but better reception there. Combination play. Good coverage. Back row, Alfafara, and a denial in the middle. Also, there was some contact between two Qataris. Everybody's okay, though. That takes us to our first technical timeout. The AL-ARABI Sport Club up by 2, 8-6 here. As you take a look at contact there between Ibrahim and Bobby Borislav.
And the speed that they call a little high. Now the attacks we go up. In the high wall, they come. The three. And they go.
Di ba, two spikers, nagkita ka ng backline, samantalang nandito yung kabila, setter sa frontline. Ba, hindi ko pwede naman, kailangan na
So 10 minutes in, Neil, and it's just a 2-point game. What are the things Rebisco's been doing good?
Well, offensively, I say this kahit kanina, kaya naman sumabay. It's a matter of getting good touches on the block, receiving well, passing the ball accurately to Joshua Retamar. So he can effectively choose his attackers well.
There's a dunk by Umandal as Rebisco makes it a 1-point game.
Yeah, as I said, so far, Joshua Umandal has been pouring out the points for the REBISCO Philippines.
Another look at the chance ball and the finish. Excellent decision making by Umandal in mid-air, just changing it up. Saw the two blockers. Obviously, that's one of the strengths of Qatar. So why not attempt a dump, which he was successful, got a kill. Not a good first ball. An attempt to push, another block, 2 back-to-back. Great plays for Rebisco, and we tie the game at 8.
This time that was on Kim Malabunga. 2 blocks already for REBISCO Philippines in this ball game.
Juma Faraj unable to get it across with a push against Malabunga, and the defense at the net. Chance to take the lead for Rebisco Philippines. Bandero, yes! Felipe Bandero with a kill.
You're a second late, a millisecond late. Mahirapan ka talaga to close out. And that was a huge gap in the middle of the blockers of REBISCO.
And I feel like you see Bandero jump. Feels like, I mean, just a wide body. Feels like there's a lot more power than the usual for an attacker with his kind of physique. Umandal is blocked. Retamar to the middle. Back-to-back blocks against Rebisco. Umandal tries again. Check ball. Rebisco scores.
And that's what you have to do when you try to use all your power to get through that block and it doesn't work. You use the hands to your advantage.
There it is. Great play by Umandal. Off the left hand of the blocker. 9-all, set number 1. Philippines keeping it a close game against Qatar. Retamar is serving. Cross-court attack is good for Faraj.
One of the key factors that can give Ribisco a victory is area blocking and area defense. That was intentional. They really left out that cross-court angle for Manuel Sumanggid. He just wasn't able to get it.
Bulgarian Bobby Borislav serving for Al-Arabi. Umandal is blocked. Although points given to Ribisco as it probably hit the antenna before dropping onto the floor. I don't know if we're going to get a better look at that last sequence.
Or
Yep.
they can call a challenge, but I think they will save that for later.
So 10-all, set number 1. Combination play, back row attack is good.
Al-Arabi using their middle blocker as a decoy to pave the way for that powerful type attack.
That was Brazilian Renan Ribeiro. Scores from the back row.
You get to notice that sometimes primary option na yung back
Back
row
row.
in the men's game compared to the spikers in the front line.
Why is that? For viewers wondering, as Al-Arabi scores.
Well, for attackers, the high leapers, they get a wider angle. Mas marami kang pwedeng puntahan and you can utilize your power well from the back row.
There's a block by Ribeiro. I don't know if it's just me, Neil, but Al-Arabi seems these guys look too buff for the average volleyball player, if you know what I mean.
And they're just so chill. Ano lang sila eh, with years of experience, when you take a look at their average age, you just know that they've been through a lot of international competitions
Competition.
already compared to Ribisco na medyo mababa yung age range natin.
But nevertheless, we get the advantage that time around. The block against Felipe Bandero. Take another look here. A solo block by Alfafara.
Good timing for Alfafara. Ribisco is keeping it close.
Yeah. And I think they forced Al-Arabi to call a timeout here. 1-point game, 12-11. I'm sure Coach Dante Alusunurin likes what he sees so far from Ribisco Philippines.
Yesterday, he was able to utilize all the players in that 4-set defeat against Uzbekistan. So I think right now, this rotation is working, but later on, we can also inject more players to just give it a different flavor.
You're looking at Juan Manuel Quichelio of Argentina, the head coach. We're talking to John Chigbo. There's Felipe Bandero. Meanwhile, Joshua Mandal and the rest of Ribisco Philippines so far making it a close game. So it's 13-10, official score right now in favor of Al-Arabi Sport Club. Faraj, Juma Faraj, good serve, better received from Alfafara, and a super quick there from Malabunga.
That's a tempo na dapat lagi nilang kinukuha, that zero tempo play on the quick hit.
Great timing. Malabunga, one of our tallest players on the floor at 6'6". Bandero scores again.
Ganun talaga eh, nagkakatalo sa labanan ng single block. When you're able to set up a double or a three-man block, it gives you a higher chance of getting a point. Pero pag single block, halos ano na eh, puntos na for any team.
So far, Borislav doing an excellent job keeping everybody involved for Al-Arabi. Another quick attempt there. Bugawan is blocked as Al-Arabi trying to pull away here in set number 1.
Looks like they were able to read the decision-making of Joshua Retabar. First few sequences, mukhang nag-observe pa yung Al-Arabi, but now they know the tendencies of the setter.
John Chigbo getting ready to serve. "32 years old. 15-11 and a free point for Nabisco Philippines. We'll get it any way we want it, or any way we can get it. These free points from AL-ARABI. In time to Guzman serving. 12-15 set number one. Unfortunately, we give it right back. 16-12, AL-ARABI leading by 4 against Rebisco Philippines, set number one.
Two in the diagonal and the external go long in 5. All the variation of the ball is not good, it's a good solution for it.
If you have in the quick, huwag mo sabihin ito may 5 libre dito. Di ba pinigyan kita na set play kanina? Gawin mo lang. Hindi ko pwede lang. Yung quick ko, yung pagbigyan mo, quick, papasakin mo lang 8 quick, sigurado, ikaw libre to. Di ba? O gusto mo kulay na quick yan. Gamitin mo lang siya, backlight ka. Okay, pre.
Rebisco Philippines trying to keep in step, but right now AL-ARABI Sport Club, Neil, is starting to pull away. What are the things we can do to keep it close?
At this point, we really can't afford to give unforced errors off the service line kasi we're down by 4 already, and if you're gonna give easy points to AL-ARABI, he will really pounce on that opportunity.
Felipe Bandero, one of the leading scorers of AL-ARABI Sport Club. Service just on the line, says the line judge. They
can use the challenge.
Take another look here. There is a challenge. That's very close though. Philippines challenges the official call, which is in. Well, the challenge though is a foot fault. Although I did notice that might have been the better thing to contest instead of where the ball fell.
Interesting choice of challenge for Rebisco Philippines. I actually thought they would be challenging if that ball went in or out.
It did seem like he did step on the line on the approach from the service area. Close, but not close enough. So no success. Failed challenge for Rebisco Philippines, as AL-ARABI Sport Club now really starting to pull away here. Going to be 17-11. Just make that 17-12 in favor of AL-ARABI Sport Club. Another beautiful serve from Felipe Bandero.
When you're receiving a powerful jump serve, your form should always be on point. Medyo alanganin na yung form ni Manuel Sumanggit that time. And that ball went out of control. Rebisco needs one good reception to put a stop to the run of AL-ARABI.
So 2 straight service aces for AL-ARABI Sport Club after the technical timeout. Much better received right there. But the setup, not quite. That's just wide. Is there a check ball? Nope. Finally, he stopped that mini run by AL-ARABI.
That was definitely out of bound play, but another challenge will be called this time for the Qatar club team.
Challenging a foot fault in the middle.
They are allowed a couple of challenges per set.
Philippines 0-2 coming into today's game, losing back-to-back matches, one against Sirjan Fulad, Iranian, and then AGMK of Uzbekistan. That was Friday and Saturday night. Meantime, Qatar, AL-ARABI Sport Club out of Qatar, his second game of the tournament. They won yesterday against Diamond Food of Thailand in 3 sets. So far, one of the leading scorers today, Felipe Bandero, talking to their setter, Bobby Borislav.
We still haven't seen Kopkovic play in this
Not yet.
ball game.
So there's the challenge, and it was not a successful one for Qatar. So Philippines, they retain the point, although they still have their work cut out for them here in set number 1. (13) serving 18. Mark Alfafara. It's wide. Well, you just mentioned this, right? When I asked you after the second technical timeout, one of the things they have to concentrate on, and so far, they haven't really been able to solve that issue.
Based on my count, we gave away 3 unforced errors off that service line and 2 missed receptions already. So Rebisco Philippines has to focus on serve receive.
Retamar sets it up. Umandal. Yes!
Much needed point for Rebisco Philippines.
5-point game here in set number 1. Joshua Umandal challenging the bigs. Block off the hands of Ibrahim. There he is. Bandero, off-speed hit. Retamar, back set. There's a push from Umandal. There's a net violation going to be called on AL-ARABI. I think it's going to be on Borislav, the setter. There he is.
Lucky break also for Rebisco. Jao Umandal didn't get a proper approach on that hit.
So 2 straight points for the Rebisco Philippines here in set number 1. Now just a 4-point game after being down by 6. Ibrahim with a dump.
No defender seen in that first possession for Rebisco.
6'7" is Ibrahim. That's how tall this kid is. Not really one of the oldest guys actually in the team, at 36 years old. Not really a kid. One of the leading scorers of Al-ARABI, or for Qatar, when they played the 2020 Tokyo Olympics qualifying matches. Fortunately for him, and fortunately for us, a service error for Ibrahim. So 4-point game, set number 1.
Rebisco has 3 attackers in the front row. De Guzman, Malabunga, and Umandal.
Retamar can choose from any of those guys. He's serving now. 16-20, that's just outside. And again, service errors hurting Rebisco Philippines.
4th service error for Rebisco.
4 points. That's roughly the deficit we're facing right now. So if we could have tightened up our service in this game, could have been a much closer match. Lopez is in the game. Jesse Lopez in the game for the first time. And there he sets up Umandal, who scores.
One of the veteran setters for Rebisco Philippines. We actually have 3 in that roster. We have Retamar, Lopez, and Ish Polvorosa.
Lopez, the elder statesman here, 35 years old. Played for FEU, if I remember it correctly. Umandal, the serve. Oh!
Another missed hit off the service line for Rebisco, which brings back the lead to 5 for Al-ARABI.
Closest was 4. Biggest was 6. Juma Faraj Malabunga, that was returned. Malabunga tries again. Borislav to Ribiero, and Ribiero scores.
Looking right, hitting down the line.
Lead back to 6 for Al-Arabi Sport Club. What an effort there by Faraj, though, on the coverage. Here's Ribiero.
Huge hole in that zone 1.
And Rebisco Philippines suing for time here in set number 1.
Nagsimula na din magpasok ng ibang tao si Coach Dan Alinsunurin for Rebisco Philippines. Later on in the second set, we might see a different roster start for this club team.
So 2 points away from closing set number 1 out. Al-Arabi Sport Club, Juma Faraj getting ready to serve. Outside, so we get a little bit of a break there. But still a long way to go for Rebisco Philippines if we are to come back here in set number 1. Kim Malabunga. Borislav setting up the big man John Chigbo for the kill, and Al-Arabi is at set point.
Looks like Al-Arabi is all about simplicity and excellent execution.
Well, they get a good first ball. They set up the big man, and he delivers. Omar Hisham is on the floor. We're seeing him for the first time. 34-year-old, 6'4" middle blocker for Al-Arabi. Lopez will set it up. A little too low for Alpha Farah. Borislav, that was actually over set. And a point for De Guzman.
Dante De Guzman getting his first point off the ball game of that ad-lib. Just enough power to get it off the block.
So 1 set point save. Still 5 more for Al-Arabi. Filipinos, Rebisco Philippines, they need to play perfect volleyball right now. Borislav setting it up, and an easy put away there for Ibrahim. Great setting, excellent serving, and obviously a few errors, especially from the service area for Rebisco Philippines. That is how you can summarize set number 1, Neil.
It has been the errors of Rebisco Philippines that gave that lead to Al-Arabi, and that's 25-19 for the Qatar club team.
Take a look at some of the highlights of the first set. We actually kept it close, especially in the first part.
Yeah, we kept it close, but then again, when we started to give away free points, tapos nung nagkaroon na tayo ng maraming butas sa depensa natin, that was the time na nag-pull away yung Al-Arabi. Nothing spectacular. They were giving out basic A-quick and B-quick plays, then back row attacks and attacks from the wings. But now, coming into the second set, Rebisco Philippines has to really tighten up their defense. Take a look at that. 3 aces against the 0 of Rebisco Philippines. We can keep in step in the attacking department. And 5 blocks, 5 big blocks for the Qatar team against the single one of Rebisco.
And the result, 25-19 in favor of Al-Arabi Sport Club versus Rebisco Philippines. Set number 2 coming up when we return. Back to our coverage on One Sports and One Sports Plus. Good evening, Philippines. You're watching the 2021 Asian Men's Club Volleyball Championship from Terminal 21 Korat in Nakhon Ratchasima in Thailand, which is about 260 kilometers northeast of Bangkok. This is AL-ARABI Sport Club from Qatar. And right now they have set number 1 in their pocket, 25-19 versus REBISCO Philippines.
Now we see a different roster starting out for REBISCO Philippines. I see Ish Polvorosa, and I think I also see Isay Marasigan starting out.
Let's see if some fresh legs and a different perspective can give the Philippines a different kind of outcome in set number 2. Team captain John Vic de Guzman coming off a 3-point performance in their loss versus AGMK of Uzbekistan. There's Kim Malabunga on your screens. Meantime, the team captain Juma Faraj speaks Arabic, English, and French. The oldest players at 36 years old. There's Alpha Farah, and you mentioned Ish Polvorosa out of the Blue Eagles program in the ballgame for the first time.
Different flavor for REBISCO. Si Ish Polvorosa is known for his low fast setting compared to the isolation plays of Joshua Retamar. You get to see the different systems incorporated in this REBISCO Philippine squad.
Set number 2 just underway. Borislav tipping it across for AL-ARABI. Here comes Umandal. Yes! Philippines on the board first here in set number 2.
He has been the primary option for our setters. And now that he's playing really well, the other teammates also have to score more points to help their cause win the second set.
Borislav setting it up. Faraj is blocked at the net. Borislav this time back set to Bandero. Bandero will put AL-ARABI on the board. 1-all, set number 2.
And we saw in the first set, they can keep the score tight, but you have to be able to amp up the firepower as you enter the midpoint or the tail end of that set.
Bobby Borislav serving. He's the setter, 29 years old. Solid block. It goes outside though. Point for de Guzman and REBISCO.
Because we are a shorter team in terms of height, you can definitely expect a lot of off-the-block hits from our spikers.
Joshua Umandal. Borislav setting it up. They go to the middle. That's Chigbo. Off speed there from attempt from de Guzman. Did not go across the net.
Medyo malayo yung naging setup nila, and hindi natansya ng tama ni John Vic yung approach niya for that one.
Unforced errors. We mentioned that was key in our loss in the first set. Let's see if we can keep that number down here in set number 2. Good receive there by Sumanggit. Back row attack is outside, it seems, for Umandal.
Masyadong nanggigil. You saw that there were no blockers for that pipe attack.
Again, unforced errors hurting the Philippines, or at least REBISCO. AL-ARABI now up by 1. Good receive by Umandal. And Malabunga punishes the defenders at the net.
Polvorosa engaging all the attackers.
Excellent setup by Polvorosa to Malabunga, who's serving now. 3-all, set number 2. Not a good first ball. Easy put away for JP Bugawan. And REBISCO on top, 4-3.
That's what you get if you put your serve in. Marami pang scenario ang pwede mangyari. You can force the opponent to make a misreception, to give you a gift that can translate to an instant point for your squad.
Bandero. Good one-handed dig there from Umandal. Alfafara off speed. Borislav sending it to the middle. The big man sends it outside. They say there's a check ball. There is. Chigbo gets the point, and AL-ARABI is tied 4-all with Rebisco set number 2.
Ang ganda lang talaga nung timing nung AL-ARABI when they set up their quick hits, even the sets to the pins. Kadalasan single block.
Yeah. John Chigbo serving 4-all. Ball still alive. Oh, excellent save there by Bandero, and the finish by Ibrahim.
Ibrahim made sure that save from his teammate won't be wasted.
Wow.
Look at that.
Picture perfect action from AL-ARABI that time around. Great save, great finish, which is why they're up by 1. 5 serving 4. Combination play, and Alfafara knocks it in.
Alfafara apologizing to the Qatari player for potentially hitting him on the way down.
Well, no harm, no foul. 5-all, set number 2. Bandero, yes!
Same play, same result. Wow. For AL-ARABI.
Felipe Bandero is something else. I mean, he's racked up a significant amount of experience. Played with 14 clubs, including Brazil, Italy, Switzerland, Poland, South Korea, and Qatar.
He might be hitting at, what, 60%? Efficient 60 to 70%.
And serving maybe higher than that. And another service ace for Bandero. 2-point lead for AL-ARABI. Got a very uncanny routine when he serves, but it's effective.
Back-to-back service aces for AL-ARABI. Same target, same result.
2 service aces, 3-point lead. AL-ARABI 8-5 versus Rebisco, Philippines in our first technical timeout, set number 2.
Okay? Because they will find also solutions. Say.
Good evening, Philippines, and welcome back to our coverage on One Sports and One Sports Plus. Felipe Bandero right now leading AL-ARABI Sport Club from Qatar in scoring and in serving, and they are up, sitting on a 3-point lead here in set number 2. Good dig, not good enough though. Finally, Rebisco Philippines breaking that run of AL-ARABI.
And Umandal also has to acknowledge that he is being targeted at that service line. So if you know that the ball is coming to you, you have to be able to establish your feet to get a proper form on that on the services.
2-point game. Mark Alfafara, 27 years old, serving for Rebisco. Borislav setting it up for Ribiero. Combination play, a tip there is good for De Guzman.
Almost mistimed that hit, but he got a little bit help from the tapes the net, but we'll take it. Rebisco will get that point.
So 1-point game here. 7 serving 8, set number 2. A chance to tie for Rebisco. Borislav to Ribiero. Great position there for Alfafara for the dig. Umandal over-received by Bandero. Rebisco on the attack. Combination play. Umandal with a kill. And the game is tied at 8.
Ish Polvorosa using his middle blockers as a decoy. Very effective to get Joshua Umandal with a single block.
So 3 straight points for Rebisco, and we tie the game at 8-all. Alfafara looking for the lead. Borislav setting it up for Ibrahim. Attack. No check ball, says our first referee. So that run stops at 3 for the Philippines, although there is a challenge here from the coaching staff of Rebisco.
Some of the players of Rebisco are confident that there was a check ball, but let's check.
Based on experience, how accurate is being confident, Neil?
Paminsan, ang bilis din kasi ng balik ng bola. So you really can't tell. Sometimes it seems like nanahawakan ng blocker.
Because if it's just based on confidence,
Yeah.
I've seen so many middle blockers saying there's a touch, there's a touch.
You need to check.
Oh, but there is.
There is a touch. So that point will go to Rebisco. Good challenge.
That time around, 100 out of 100 for Rebisco. The run continues. That's a 4-point run now for Rebisco, Neil.
Sometimes confidence pays off.
So Rebisco on top, 9-8. Set number 2. Set up for Bandero. Off the block of Umandal. Ball is still alive. Great effort. Just no third touch for Rebisco Philippines. So that run ends officially at 4 points. And the game's tied at 9.
These are the minor miscommunication errors that they have to work on, because that was a good block touch, and they still had a chance to set up their defense if they were able to put that ball over.
So the defense of Rebisco will be tested here. Got to get a good receive to keep that momentum. Renan Ribiero out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. Back row attack here. Bandero with a good first ball. Faraj, yes.
Nobody defending that zone 1 hit.
Against 3 blockers, Juma Faraj still finds an opening.
That says a lot about their experience.
That's experience. I was about to say, that's experience for you. At 36 years old, haven't played since he's been playing since 2010 Asian Games. So that's 11 years of experience for you.
You can just sense that accurate calculation every time they go for their attacks.
Umandal. Good dig from Ribiero. Faraj will try. Nope. That was an over-receive. Bandero. Yes. Felipe Bandero makes it a 2-point lead for AL-ARABI.
When you give an easy ball to AL-ARABI, you expect a hard hitting attacker.
There's a timeout here by Rebisco Philippines.
There are some sequences dito sa side ng Rebisco na parang minamadali yung pagbalik ng bola. And during these types of games, you have to maximize all the 3 touches that you can get.
Well, it's still a close game. It's a 2-point deficit against Rebisco. And Coach Dante Alensunurin, I'm sure that's what he's pointing at as well. It's just a 2-point game. Let's not allow this get away from us.
you can just see the body language for both of these teams. For Ribisco, they know that they can snatch a set, and for Al-Arabi, they know that they have to respect their opponents.
Renani Ribiero getting ready to serve. 11-9 set number 2. Al-Arabi with 1 set in the bag, winning the first set against Ribisco. Combination play, yes!
Perfect sequence for Ribisco. Excellent receive from Sumanggid. Good set from Ish Polvorosa, and what a finish from Jao Umandal. Ish Polvorosa, a 5-time best setter here.
That's right.
Also in our country.
Seasons 76, 77, 78, 79, and 80 of the UAAP. In the meantime, though, a kill by Ibrahim. The 36-year-old Ibrahim stands 6'7". Had 4 points against Diamond Foods, or Diamond Food of Thailand. Oh, what a serve. Is that outside?
That was
I
on
think
the
it's
line.
in. It's in.
What a serve.
Just on the line. This clips the line. Ibrahim makes it a 3-point lead for Al-Arabi.
Pag ganyan kabilis yung bola from the serve, judgment call na lang papairali ng mga players eh.
I mean, the power and the trajectory of the ball from that angle at 6'7", jumping 6'7". There's a block. Ooh. Malabunga going to be called for a lift there.
Second guessed himself. He didn't know if he was going to put it over already or going to set that one for Jao.
And right on cue, pretty much the same point in set number 1. Al-Arabi starting to pull away. They have a 4-point lead here. Their biggest of the set. Another combination play. Borislav. There's a block against Chigbo. Polvorosa setting up Umandal again. Borislav with a block. Back to Umandal. Yes!
Jao Umandal recognizing the shorter blocker between the two from Al-Arabi, getting that point back for Ribisco Philippines.
Yeah, went through the blocker, Bobby Borislav.
And you can see the frustration on the face of the center of the Qatar club.
So Ribisco trying to turn it around before the lead becomes insurmountable. 3-point deficit, 11-14 here in set number 2. Faraj, yes.
Another clean hit for Al-Arabi.
And it's just amazing the angles and the lines you see Al-Arabi make offensively. Bobby Borislav, the setter, serving. That's outside. A break for Ribisco Philippines. We're still in it. And lucky for us, Al-Arabi with some miscues in their game. Not as tight as they were in the first set. Not a lot of service errors in set number 1. They have a few here in set number 2, giving us a close match and some free points.
Most of their servers din papunta sa jump serve, powerful jump serve.
Yeah.
Iilan lang yung float serves eh.
It's a free ball for Ribisco. Sumanggid. Straight away to Alpapara, who is blocked at the net. That play easily telegraphed by the defense.
Alpapara not hitting it at that peak as he gets blocked by Al-Arabi, and the coverage wasn't there.
And that's a block of the set from PLDT Home. 4-point lead for Al-Arabi, 16-12 against Ribisco here in set number 2.
In the fast ball, there's only one line inside 3 meters, they break up.
Ang nagiging problema lang natin pre, pag yung transmission ng salaga, sinabi ko lang sa'yo, ang two spikers, tama naman yung mga three spikers. Kasi problema yung wicket kanina, tight set siya. Kasi alam yung two spikers tayo. Tapos sa base na dito dapat pa. Tapos walang control, walang
Coming to you from Terminal 21 Korat in Nakhon Ratchasima for the 2021 Asian Men's Club Volleyball Championships. Eric Tipan with Neil Flores. And we're watching AL-ARABI Sport Club out of Qatar taking on REBISCO Philippines here in set number 2. We are down 1-0. And this is a 4-point deficit in the second set. Renan Riviero knocking it in.
Again, right on the line for AL-ARABI. And that's harder to defend those balls na sakto lang sa linya.
Yeah. Team captain Juma Faraj with a float serve, 5-point lead. Another block, single man block there by John Chigbo.
Too low on the contact for Jao Mandal. Perfectly read by AL-ARABI.
Now a 6-point advantage right away for AL-ARABI. And a free ball, easy put away for Riviero. Lead is 7. So that's 3 straight points after the technical timeout. That forces Coach Dante Alinsunurin of REBISCO Philippines to call a timeout.
I just noticed that during the midpoint of every set, dito medyo kumakalas yung reception ng REBISCO Philippines. At dito tayo napapag-iwanan ng AL-ARABI. Now it's a 7-point deficit.
What do you think Coach Dante Alinsunurin telling the boys, especially like what you said, in the middle of this set, what happens and what they should fix?
Most probably, hihingi lang yan si Coach Dante ng one stop to get their momentum back. Again, in volleyball, that first ball is the most crucial pass to give to your setter. Kasi dyan iikot yung opensa nyo eh.
Renan Riviero responsible for the last couple of points for AL-ARABI. It was on your screens earlier. Right now, Kim Malabunga. And this is Juma Faraj, team captain for AL-ARABI, now leading by 7. 3 straight points after the technical timeout. Oh, another easy giveaway for REBISCO Philippines. That's 4 straight points after the technical timeout. 4 unanswered points for AL-ARABI.
I think there was a net violation.
Oh, we get a
wait,
break.
Is it? Yeah,
Yes. But we give it right back on the service error of Kim Malabunga.
These are the non-negotiables when you're down by as much as 7 points against a powerhouse team. So when you give away unforced errors off that line, parang medyo walang kalaban-laban tayo dun eh.
Lead is back to 7. 20 serving 13. Good dig. AL-ARABI. Alfafara, there is a whistle on the play, a net violation against AL-ARABI.
Now we're capitalizing on the unforced errors of AL-ARABI. 2 net violations called on their players.
No contest by AL-ARABI. So 2 straight points for REBISCO Philippines, but we're still looking at a 6-point deficit here. Borislav setting up Bandero. Polvorosa, back row attack, Umandal. Yes! Right on the number of the jersey of Faraj.
What a cannon of an attack
Take a
from
look
Jao
here.
Mandal. There's no stopping this youngster.
What a great talent out of UST program. So that's 3 straight points for Rebisco Philippines.
And he has emerged as the top scorer for Rebisco in the absence of Bagunas and Espejo.
Bandero is blocked, but ball goes outside, so that 3-point run is stopped by this attack of Felipe Bandero. You see Mark Alfafara. He knew at least he had contact with the ball and could have done a better job keeping it alive.
Yeah, looking at it at the positive light, we had a touch on it.
Yep.
So it's still better than giving him a clean hit.
Lopez is in the game setting it up for Rebisco Philippines. That goes, I think, outside from Mark Alfafara. So lead is back to 7 for AL-ARABI. Take a look here. And again, Felipe Bandero, one of the best servers of AL-ARABI. Bojan Duki, number 12, is in the game for the first time for AL-ARABI. We saw him on the screens earlier. Right now, back-to-back points for AL-ARABI on the serve of Bandero.
When we take a look at the statistics later on, you'll get to see that disparity for sure in the serving department.
Rebisco Philippines, no service aces in the loss versus AGMK. Ooh, what a dig though for Sumangid. Faraj keeping it alive, Borislav. And Bojan Duki with a touch and a point.
Even a 3-man block from Rebisco couldn't stop that hit from Duki.
Bojan Duki is out of Montenegro, another foreign player for this Qatari club. Set point. This is 9 set points for AL-ARABI. Here's that routine of Felipe Bandero. Much softer serve. Still same result for Felipe Bandero. And AL-ARABI puts set number 2 in the pocket.
We're so used to receiving hard jump serves, but that time yung mga mas mahina hindi tayo naging prepared. Now we're down by 2 sets to love. That's 25-15 in favor of AL-ARABI.
We kept it close, and like what we said, it pretty much got away from Rebisco Philippines. Roughly the same point as in set number 1.
Yeah, it was definitely the same at first. We even had a 1-point lead early on. Then when they started to crack our reception open, that was their golden opportunity to establish that 6 or 7-point lead.
Ish Polvorosa was the starting center in set number 2. He made a difference. And like what you said, we had a lead at 1 point in set number 2. Umandal and Ugawan were involved offensively along with Kim Malabunga, but again, middle point of set number 2, AL-ARABI started to pull away, mostly from, again, reception errors from Rebisco Philippines, and the service in the end by Felipe Bandero.
And as expected, look at that, 5 service aces compared to the 0 of Rebisco. Again, hindi naman tayo nalalayo in terms of attacks, but the opponent's errors, dyan din medyo marami. We had a lot of those off the service line and off the first ball. So coming into this third set, I am hoping to see more rotations when it comes to the attackers. Kasi so far, mga setters yung pinapaikot ni Coach Dante.
25-19, 25-15, Rebisco Philippines down 2 sets to nothing against AL-ARABI Sport Club. Good evening, volleyball fans, and welcome to our coverage on One Sports and One Sports Plus. You're watching AL-ARABI Sport Club out of Qatar taking on REBISCO Philippines at Terminal 21 Korat in Nakhon Ratchasima. This is the 2021 Asian Men's Club Volleyball Championships, and we are already in day 3, although this is the first time we're putting REBISCO Philippines on the air. REBISCO Philippines 0-2 in the standings, in case you're just catching up with us. We've lost 2 matches, one against Iran, one against Uzbekistan. Meantime, as you look at the REBISCO Philippines squad, AL-ARABI Sport Club's second match so far in this tournament, and Felipe Bandero and company are 1-0 after beating Diamond Food of Thailand yesterday.
Again, these teams will go through a single round robin format before entering the classification matches and the semifinals. So they need to rack up as many wins as they can dahil konti lang din yung game sa elimination round.
AL-ARABI Sport Club 2-0 in this match so far. Rex Intal seeing action for the first time, as well as Isay Marasigan.
Still no sign of Nico Almendras.
Yep. Only played in set number 1. A lot of catching up to do for REBISCO Philippines if we want to extend this match. We're down 2-0. Bobby Borislav, the setter out of Bulgaria, 29 years old, stands 6 feet, serving for AL-ARABI Sport Club. Polvorosa, there's Intal with a tip. Here comes Faraj against 3 blockers. It's outside. And again, REBISCO Philippines on the board first.
Now that we have 2 different attackers in the lineup, you have Rex Intal and Isay Marasigan. Let's check if they can chip in much needed points from the offense to help Joshua Mandan.
That's going to be outside. And we talked about these errors. We had +4. We were +4 in set number 2. While AL-ARABI Sport Club with 5 aces in the second set. You know, we sort of, you can say, shot ourselves in the foot, Neil. In both sets we lost. See if they can do much better here in set number 3 as Marasigan is blocked at the net.
1-on-1 against that player from AL-ARABI. No entry for Isay Marasigan.
Blocked by Renan Ribiero. Faraj serving. Sumanggid. We haven't seen Marcos, the other libero for the Philippines. Tip there by Bandero is good.
Every time he goes up for that hit, mapa-soft touch or powerful hit, parang sure point for AL-ARABI.
Well, in their last game, at least, 48% efficiency for Felipe Bandero.
For sure, it's higher in, in this game.
And again, we mentioned to the viewers, we haven't even seen the best player of AL-ARABI, is Konstantin Kupkovic, who in their last game was 73% from the field.
At 24 points.
24 points. He hasn't even seen a second of action here, as Ribiero scores against 2 defenders.
I think it's time to close on that down-the-line hit because we have been suffering from that same play from AL-ARABI. Then try to open up that cross-court and see if we can actually defend that attack.
An awkward play there from Alfafara. Good coverage against the Bandero attack. Alfafara was blocked. Here comes Marasigan, a push. Bandero with the up. Borislav going to Ribiero. Ribiero with a dump. Great save by Alfafara. Intal almost got it. Free ball for REBISCO Philippines. Alfafara against 3 blockers. It goes outside. Alfafara. REBISCO scores just their second point of set number 3.
Good enough they got that. They were a bit disorganized getting that free ball. But Alfafara utilizing the hands of the triple block.
One of the longest rallies so far in the match. REBISCO Philippines coming out on top. Omar Hisham on your screens. Right now, Rex Intal plays for the Signal HD Spikers.
Actually, 3 out of the 4 new players for this Rebisco team are coming from the Signal HD Spikers.
Ribiero scoring.
When Ribiero is against a single block, he always goes to that cross-court
cross-court.
hit.
That's right.
But when he has a double or triple man block in front of him, he goes down the line. So yun yung mga tendencies din na kailangan pag-usapan ng mga
That's right.
defenders natin on the court.
Single hand set there for Bugawan from Polvorosa. Bandero off the set by the middle blocker, Chigbo. Can you believe that?
What more can we say about Bandero? Overpowering the blockers of Rebisco Philippines.
And a different AL-ARABI Sport Club here in set number 3, trying to pull away as early as the first part of the set. Hisham serving. Ace for Omar Hisham.
Same target, they've been going to our wing spikers, Alpha Farah and Umandal, to take them out of the system. And it has been working for AL-ARABI.
An early 5-point lead for the men in white. Oh, another ace. Back-to-back aces for Omar Hisham. And that takes us to our first technical timeout. What a start for AL-ARABI. They are up by 6. 8-2 against Rebisco Philippines in the third set.
This opposite. Way from the last stage, yeah? 2 times that the ball goes in the deep, wait, and long, slow the hands. The most important is post. Very good, very good. Continue, continue.
More aggressive start for Felipe Bandero and the rest of AL-ARABI Sport Club. Have an early 6-point lead in set number 3 after winning the first set and the second set 25-19 and 25-15 respectively. Omar Hisham with back-to-back service aces. Marasigan is denied.
No coverage on the back row for Rebisco Philippines. Kadalasan merong isang tao na iiwan. And that person is called the sweeper to anticipate the check balls or yung mga nabablock.
So Hisham continues to serve for AL-ARABI. Lead is now at 7. Finally, Rebisco Philippines with a kill.
They will try to cut down that 6-point lead. Malayo pa naman, it's a race to 25, but they can't afford to add more free points.
Isay Marasigan. Borislav goes back row to Faraj. Yes!
That tempo from the back row is the same as that tempo from the quick hit, halos.
Yeah. Juma Faraj showing us his versatility.
Just looking at the physique of the players from
Yeah.
AL-ARABI, you can just sense the power they give every time they go for that attack.
They actually look like more like bodybuilders than volleyball players because of that bulk and heft. And yet they're very athletic and explosive, so don't be deceived by the way their bodies are built. Another point for AL-ARABI as a timeout is actually a challenge is called here by Rebisco Philippines, a block touch. Let's see if the call will be overturned and the point taken away.
Paminsan yung challenge na gagamit din to cut the momentum of your
Yep.
opponent. You already know that it's a correct call, pero nagbabaka sakali ka lang din.
John Chigbo on your screens as you take a look at the challenge here. This is way off. Not even close.
Definitely off the mark. Mark Alfafara trying to go for another check ball.
Now here's the timeout called by Rebisco Philippines. Well, Coach Dante Alensinurin and the boys right now find themselves in a big hole early in set number 3.
First two sets, medyo maganda, dikit yung simula, but now this is an early 8-point lead for the Qatar club team. So again, egging on his teammates to take it 1 point at a time.
John Chigbo and the rest of AL-ARABI, so far so good. They've played near perfect volleyball. JP Bugawad and the rest of Rebisco Philippines, they've got their work cut out for them early here. And that's made worse by the fact that it's Felipe Bandero serving for AL-ARABI. We all know how good he is so far at getting aces. That's definitely a foot fault. No need for a challenge there. Lions judge called it. Take a look.
And the players acknowledge that he really stepped on the line. Bonus point for Rebisco Philippines.
Rebisco gets a freebie. Let's see if they can mount a run off that. 4 serving 11. Mark Alfafara on your screens. Good receive by Ribeiro. Back row attack by Faraj is good. Wow, Faraj. At least a couple of points from that area here in set number 3, Neil.
Faraj heating up from that back row attack. Looks like he's really comfortable dun sa pipe hit. Parang wala pa rin talaga ako nakikitang combination play dito sa AL-ARABI. It's all about excellent timing and utilizing the decoys.
Speaking of combination, Umandal on the tail end of that.
Yeah, Umandal continuing to fight for the cause of Rebisco Philippines. He is up against a single blocker. Pwede mo na yan ilista as an automatic point for Rebisco Philippines.
But they've got to string up a series of points as Bojan Duki is back in the game. 5 serving 12. This time it's Chigbo from the middle.
When I saw that quick hit, that approach, alam ko na automatic, that would be a point for AL-ARABI.
I mean, their timing, their reception is right now as good as it gets.
And itong AL-ARABI, sila try isa sa mga mas malakas na teams in this specific pool. One of the front runners, I must say.
As Umandal gets help from the tape of the net. But the points of Rebisco Philippines are few and far between.
Based on my unofficial count, I think Jao Umandal is the only player who has stepped on double digits for this specific match.
Ish Polvorosa serving. We have to say, we haven't seen Nico Almendras as Hisham scores for AL-ARABI. And we mention that because Almendras is coming off a 14-point performance against AGMK of Uzbekistan. So just the second leading scorer of Rebisco Philippines
I do-
after Umandal.
I do agree. He had a total of 20 points combined in their first two games, 14 on the second one and 6 on the first one, and still on the bench, but looks like Coach Dante has a different take on this ball game. Kaya ganito yung rotation niya.
Block of the set from PLDT home off the hands of Felipe Bandero.
And it looks like that ball didn't even go over.
9-point lead, biggest for Al-Arabi here in set number 3. There's a point from Rex Intal.
And then yung maganda for Ish Polvorosa, your spiker didn't get the point the first time. Give him another chance na makabawi to regain that confidence. Now they're still down by 8 points.
Good serve that time around from Joshua Umandal.
He's been contributing to all aspects in this ball game. Just imagine if he can polish yung service reception and digging niya. Sobrang lakas nito ni Jao Umandal in the coming years. He's just 22 years old.
Stands 6'2". Plays for PLDT. Borislav sets it up. And right now, Al-Arabi scores from wherever they want to. Faraj, take another look. Excellent receive. Borislav sends it to Faraj down the line. And it's a 16-8 advantage. Al-Arabi takes us to our second technical timeout. Eight-point lead for Al-Arabi Sport Club against Rebisco Philippines in set number 3. And right now, Rebisco down 2-0, losing 25-19, 25-15. But they get a free point here off the service error by team captain Juma Faraj of Al-Arabi Sport Club.
If we can get a couple of players papunta dun sa double-digit scoring mark, I think mas maganda yung laban ng Rebisco Philippines.
Well, we've got a long fight ahead of us. If they plan to extend this match, Marasigan with a solo block against Bojan Duki. That ought to lift their spirits. 2 straight points for Rebisco Philippines.
Great timing, one-on-one against Duki. That's Isay Marasigan's first point of the match, if I'm not mistaken.
Borislav sending it to Duki. Off speed is good for Bojan Duki.
Alfafara was almost there. When you're going for that coverage, you really have to commit to it. Mukhang nagkalituhan sila ni Ish Polvorosa kung sinong kukuha niyan.
Omar Hisham serving for Al-Arabi Sport Club. 17-10, set number 3. Bugawan gets it through, and that's a point for Rebisco Philippines.
Rebisco still fighting back now. It seems like they're just enjoying the game, celebrating every point.
Well, if the Philippines can't cut this deficit any closer, this at least set, might be a foregone conclusion in the match as well. Jesse Lopez serving for Rebisco. John Chigbo with a point.
Double substitution for the side of Rebisco. We have John Victor Guzman and Jesse Lopez in to replace Marasigan and Polvorosa. But Chigbo has plans to end this early for AL-ARABI. They're 7 points away from getting their second consecutive win in our AVC.
And our best player of the game from PLDT home, Felipe Bandero of AL-ARABI Sport Club. Solid block against the Guzman as AL-ARABI pulling away here. Block going to be credited to Bobby Borislav, the setter. 19 serving 11. Foot fault. Going to be a foot fault there for Bandero again.
They can pull out another challenge card if they want to, and
Yes,
it's difficult
they
to
did challenge. Well, this camera angle that they give us isn't good, but let's see if the review has a better shot of that approach by Felipe Bandero. Bandero is 6'6", so he's a pretty big dude. 33 years old.
It takes years of training and experience in international games to master that approach on the jump serve. So if the challenge is successful, the point will go to Rebisco Philippines, but if not, the point will remain to AL-ARABI.
I think the point was already awarded to us. So if the challenge is successful, because the referees call the foot fault, and it is
Yes.
a foot fault, so I think it will stay 19-12. Bandero, I don't know if it wasn't as high definition
Yeah.
as we want to, so but it did seem like the sneaker
Yeah,
touched the line.
It covered a part of the line. Sobrang konti lang.
So the score remains because the point was awarded to us already before the challenge by AL-ARABI. So 19 serving, or make that 12 serving 19. And that was an over receive, easily put away there by Rebisco Philippines.
Great anticipation on the side of Umandal. Looking at the form of the setter, he knew that with the drop ball,
Oh, that's 3 straight points for Rebisco Philippines. Let's see if they can rattle off a few more. Good serve from Umandal. Bandero with an off speed. Umandal against 3 blockers. I think it's going to be outside, so point for AL-ARABI.
I think they're out of challenges already. Am I correct? They've used 2 on the foot fault.
So it's 2013. Bojan Duki serving for AL-ARABI. Umandal, that's over received by AL-ARABI. Umandal again. Yes!
What an amazing performance for Jao Umandal. And using the hands of the setter.
Six-point game. Borislav sets it to Faraj. Yes. High efficiency for Juma Faraj in today's game. Substitution here as Abdul Al-Hikmi checks into the game for the first time for Al-Arabi.
I think he was the player who scored back-to-back service aces a while ago against Alpha Farah.
That's just outside for Al-Hitbi.
REBISCO is down by 6 points. Malasigan and Polvorosa will march back in.
Al-Arabi 4 points away from sweeping REBISCO Philippines in their second game of the 2021 AVC. A tip there by Faraj. Faraj will set it up. Bandero. Polvorosa was right there to pick it up. So Manggid will set it for Umandal. Oh, Umandal can't get it across the net.
Nag-alangan eh. Lalo na kung galing sa likod yung set, these are the out-of-system plays are more difficult to time.
What were our takeaways for REBISCO, Neil, as they will go down here 0-3 after 3 games in the 2021 AVC?
Again, this is the first time again after the hiatus of volleyball in the Philippines to have this kind of exposure against the best club teams in our region. So dito talaga nila makikita na they still need to have that composure and maturity. They know that they can be at the same level in attacking, but yung mga small details in reception, communication, dun nagkakatalo, tas dun sila bumibitaw.
Well, let's remember, REBISCO Philippines were hastily put together just prior to the tournament. Meanwhile, this team, Al-Arabi, has been competing in the Qatari Volleyball League. They were an Asian Club champion in 2012, runners-up in 2010, 2015, and 2016, and they were third placers in 07 and 09. So they've been together for quite a while already, this team. And like what we mentioned, this is one of the older teams in the tournament, average age of 32. So pretty experienced, and they've got a lot of chemistry playing, 2 years of playing together.
I do agree, and simula ng July pa lang nag-prepare yung REBISCO Philippines, but again, in the upcoming international tournaments, expect to see a tighter team, a more experienced team. And look at that, REBISCO Philippines winning that long rally with an emphatic back row attack from Jao Umandal.
And it was Umandal with a receive off the Bandero attack, and yet he was the one who finished it. Very promising young talent, very promising team. Obviously, they've got a lot of work cut out for them moving forward. Bandero gets a point, and Al-Arabi 2 points away from wrapping up this match.
Few points away from getting their second win in this AVC conference.
Juma Faraj, excellent performance today. Back row again for Umandal. The tip is good. One of the rare times we catch the defense of Al-Arabi napping.
We're slowly cutting that lead of Al-Arabi. Now it's down to 5. We have to play flawless volleyball from here on out if we want to get at least a tiebreaker for this set.
Al-Arabi led by as many as 9 points. Felipe Bandero. That's going to be 6 match points for Al-Arabi.
Basic for Bandero. Up high, down hard. Now it's match point for Al-Arabi.
Omar Hisham serving. Polvorosa setting it up. Back row attack for Umandal. Not just yet. There's Jao. 1 match point save. But 5 more to go for Al-Arabi.
It's not over till it's over, says Josh Umandal. continuing to build up on his points.
Now tall order for REBISCO Philippines. Got to defend here. Borislav setting up. Hisham, Omar Hisham. Sorry, no, that's Al-Hitmi. With the finish, Abdul Al-Hitmi of Al-Arabi Sport Club. And it's a sweep for Qatari team against Philippines. REBISCO, as you take a look at the final tally, 25-19, 25-15, and 25-19.
Another straight set victory for the powerhouse team in Al-Arabi. They go up 2-0, while the REBISCO Philippines will slide to 0-3.
Great performance by Al-Arabi Sport Club as they go undefeated. Meanwhile, so far, REBISCO Philippines only winning one set in the tournament. They've dropped 3 matches in a row. Their only set was against AGMK of Uzbekistan. If you take a look at the highlights of the entire match, let's recall Al-Arabi, the taller team, average height of 6'4". Philippines, obviously the much younger team compared to Al-Arabi, and that's one of our, I guess, strong points is the youth of this team.
I would have to agree. Clearly, the experience of this Qatar team played a very huge factor in their victory today. Aside from that, masyado lang talaga naging loose yung reception ng REBISCO Philippines. But moving forward, again, maganda pa rin yung pinakita ng REBISCO Philippines. And in the future coming tournaments, we are sticking to the same roster. Konting dagdag na lang ng mga players na wala. But
We mentioned some of the players who are not in the lineup of REBISCO Philippines.
yes, we have Brian Bagunas, Mark Espejo, some players from the Philippine Navy. Pag nagsikumpletuhan na tayo, I know that we will put up a better fight against powerhouse teams in this region.
As you see, so many players actively participating in the offense, especially Felipe Bandero, Renan Ribiero, Juma Faraj. Meanwhile, Josh Umandal, like what you mentioned earlier, Neil, could be the only Philippine player in double digits. Spectacular play for the young man, one of the youngest players for REBISCO Philippines.
But this tournament is not yet over for REBISCO Philippines. They still have another game against Diamond Foods Thailand tomorrow, as Al-Arabi will still continue to push their winning ways in this single round robin format.
The game will be tomorrow. REBISCO Philippines versus Diamond Food of Thailand at 4:30 p.m. So catch that only here on One Sports and One Sports Plus, as you see some of the highlights still of this 3-set win by REBISCO Philippines versus Al-Arabi of Qatar. For Neil Flores, I'm Eric Tipan. Thank you for watching our coverage of the 2021 Asian Men's Volleyball Championship on One Sports and One Sports Plus.